Hello, I'm Dr. Krishan Chhabra and welcome to Anokhe Rang. Today's topic is, so how did it go? First off, let me define what I mean by it. It refers to a situation with one-to-one, one-to-many, or many-to-many in a conversation, discussion, meeting, or a negotiation that can be in person, through video, or audio. These situations can be formal or informal, at home or at business, and they can cover routine or serious subjects. For example, a discussion with a friend, spouse, or a teenager, a formal meeting in a business setting, or a negotiation about a significant issue. We want the outcome to be good for both the parties. When I was working in the corporate world, I would think back and reflect on a meeting after it was over. Did it make me feel better after the meeting as compared to when the meeting started? What went right? What went wrong? What are the lessons that I learned to make things better for the future? I used a scoring system, what I called as the B and A score, short for before and after score, from a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, for how I felt before and after the meeting. Then I would think in the same way for the other party and give them a B and A score as well. As time went by, I found this scoring method to be very helpful in learning from the meetings, not only from my own performance, but also from the performance of the other party. The objective in my mind was that the after score should be better than the before score, not only for myself, but also for the other party. And that means a win-win situation. So how do we get a win-win outcome? There are countless books, articles, and videos on the art of negotiation, as well as how to make the meetings effective and more productive. Some of the basics are: create a relaxing environment, be prepared, stay focused, listen, think before you speak, be respectful, be patient, stay calm, and the list goes on and on. Well, it's easier said than done. Let me share a personal experience at work several years ago. We had a team of people working on different tasks of a project, and we were going to have a meeting. Each person had written a draft for the assigned task and had shared the draft electronically so that others can review the draft before the meeting. One of the drafts was written by a person whom I would call Joe. I found the draft to be really bad, and I felt sorry for Joe, not knowing how the manager would react. Well, the meeting started, and our manager, whom I will call Bob, started going over the drafts. Bob leaned back, looked at Joe, and said, "Joe, I would like you to imagine that you are our most important client, George. Now think what you, George, would like to see in the draft." Joe mustered some courage, thought about it, and said, "How are we going to reduce the cost?" "Good. How about some specific?" asked Bob. Joe thought and said, "We can look at the functions and efficiency of the units." "Great," said Bob. "What do you think about the usefulness of the numerous reports?" In short, Bob kept on guiding Joe, and Joe kept on thinking and responding. Finally, Bob said, "Very good, George. Joe," and everyone smiled. Bob continued, "Now, can you revise your draft based on our discussion?" "Oh, yes, and thank you very much, Bob," said Joe. I was wondering what did just happen here. It was quite a reversal from what I had imagined. Bob encouraged Joe to think and participate. It was collaborative, not argumentative. Bob did not abuse his authority as a manager, did not criticize Joe, and instead made him feel very good. Joe was very happy with the outcome and liked the way Bob handled the interaction. It was definitely and positively a win-win situation with a high B and A score both for Bob and Joe. I learned a lot from this single experience and have tried to use the great nuggets of wisdom in my life. Finally, I would like to share some quotes. You cannot negotiate with people who say what's mine is mine and what's yours is negotiable. John F. Kennedy. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Stephen Covey. The supreme art of a war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Sun Tzu. How beautiful. Let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. John F. Kennedy. I speak to everyone in the same way, whether he's the garbage man or the president of the university, Albert Einstein. And finally, I have learned that people will forget what you said or what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou. Wishing you a very happy Father's Day, and yes, make it a win-win situation with a B and score on the very high end of the scale. Please join me again next month for another segment of Anokhe Rang. Namaskar.